The wonderful thing about personal finance is that the basic principles really do not change. And that is what's so nice. These are skills that once you learn them, you have them forever. You don't need to update them all the time. Tax info you have to update because the law changes. But basic personal finances are nice and simple and they stay steady.
Welcome to the Sunlight Podcast. In this show, we're talking about taxes, money, and careers for self-employed people who have a big vision for changing the world with their work. I'm your host, Hannah Cole, artist, tax pro, and the founder of Sunlight Tax. If you're a creative or soul-centered entrepreneur or wellness practitioner who wants to grow your business sustainably, manage your taxes, and build a stash of fuck you money so you can control your time and have a bigger impact with your work, you are in the right place.
Hello, welcome back. Today, I want to read to you a second article that I wrote for the art blog Art F City in 2017. Many of you might know Patty Johnson. She is the OG of the art blog world. And I used to be a writer for Art F City, and definitely credit Patty with giving me some of the skills that I have developed as a great writer, because she is such a fantastic and incisive editor. Okay, so last week, I brought you a personal finance cheat sheet for the overwhelmed. That episode is all about your order of operations when it comes to personal finance. In other words, answering the question, what should I do with the dollars that I earn and in what order? Okay. Today's episode is more of a mindset episode as a follow-up to last week's episode. So definitely go back and listen to the practical part from last week. And here is a very helpful article, I think, on the attitude, the mindset that will really help you conquer your personal finance. All right, so I'm reading from an article I wrote in 2017, though it is all the wonderful thing about personal finance is that the basic principles really do not change. And that is what's so nice. These are skills that once you learn them, you have them forever. You don't need to update them all the time. Tax info you have to update because the law changes. But basic personal finances are nice and simple and they stay steady. All right, here's my article, The Personal Finance Attitude Adjustment. This originally appeared in Art F City in June 2017. Credit to Patty Johnson. In my last episode, I outlined the basics of a personal finance plan. That podcast/article is the What to Do, where I answer questions about insurance, debt management, savings, and investments. If you haven't listened to it, I suggest spending a bit of time with that podcast because it provides the foundation for getting your proverbial ducks in a row. This week, I'd like to get into the how to do it part. This part is about the mindset to get yourself on track. There are a lot of general principles for good financial health, but what I outlined below are the most time-tested. Since what I'm talking about this week is more about attitude, this is the part where you make some adjustments and decide for yourself what works best for you. Number 1, spend less than you earn. It feels stupid to even write that. It's so obvious, but I mention it because it's the key to your financial health, and many people, maybe most, don't do it. In fact, it's so easy to say and so hard to do that I often compare it to talking about the path to enlightenment through meditation. Focusing on your breathing, not your thoughts, sounds like a breeze, but it's equally difficult to execute. To break down this simple idea, spending less than you earn has two sides to it. You can either work on earning more or you can work on spending less. I'm not giving you advice on how to make more money. That's a subject many have written books about. There's many programs, coaches, all the things. But do think about how it applies to you. That's important. For the cutting your spending part, which is usually for most people a little easier, I have some thoughts. Here's a concrete idea. Keep a journal of what you spend. I first did this in a little sketchbook I used to carry around with me, but you can do the electronic version using Mint or an spend tracking app. There are a whole bunch of them out there. Just be sure it includes everything, including all the little items you pay for in cash, like coffee. If you've ever done this for dieting, you know that it works. The simple act of observing where your money goes can change some of the bad habits right off the bat. The apps are even nicer because you can go deeper by looking at the trends and categories you spend the most on. And from there, it helps you make assessments about where your money is going and whether it lines up with your priorities. I don't want to be a scold and tell you not to drink lattes at your favorite coffee shop anymore. Everyone has special pleasures they really love spending money on, and it's not my goal to guilt you out of those. As I write this, I'm enjoying a $4 coffee in a nice coffee shop, and indeed, it is a pleasure. But some of the stuff we spend money on is actually mindless and could be cut out without much pain, like, for example, ATM fees. That is good stuff to know. The point is that taking a good look at where your money is actually getting spent can help you make sure that your spending lines up with your priorities. And of course, if you're in a more hunkered down emergency mode of cost cutting, and most of us have been there, then there are times when cutting out pleasures is warranted too. Ugh. Number 2, you can afford anything, but you can't afford everything. It's easy to look at budgeting as self-denial, but a better way to look at it is as priority setting. Budgets can empower you to do the things you want in life. And how wonderful is that? You want to quit your day job and spend 5 months hiking the Appalachian Trail? Great, you can save enough to do that. You want to buy the laser cutter that will bring your silkscreen business to the next level? You can do that. You want to drink artisanal cocktails with your friends at the hottest bars 5 nights a week? Awesome. But can you do all of those things at the same time? Probably not. You can do the big thing you want to do with your money, but you can't do all of the big things. You need to be clear on your priorities because for most people, those are the only things guaranteed to be funded. Line up your financial priorities. And when you have been tracking your spending for a little while, take a look at what your actual spending is. The point is to match the priorities with the actual spending. Number 3, pay yourself first. This is an extension of the last idea, priorities. If you have a priority spending list with 10 items on it, you will likely run out of money before you fund numbers 9 and 10. That's the reality for most people. There just isn't enough money for everything. But too many people put managing their long-term financial stability last. They pay all their other bills first and think that they will use whatever is left at the end of the month to fund their emergency fund, pay off their debt, and fund their retirement and other savings. But the reality is that this method rarely sets anyone up for financial well-being, because by the time those bills are paid, there isn't money left. Don't do this. Make your own financial security a priority and fund it first. The last items on your priority list will not get funded. It's a small attitude shift that makes a big difference. Put money from your paycheck into your credit card debt or retirement savings, and then use the rest for rent, bills, and then entertainment. You will likely find that to do this, you need to cut out a little more of your spending than you expected. That's normal. The idea is to look at what that healthy spending number actually is and work with what you have. It may send you back to your priority list again. You may decide that to actually fund your savings at a good level, you need your expenses to be even lower. Perhaps this means that you ask for a raise. Perhaps it means you move to a lower cost area or shop around for a cheaper cell phone plan. Discovering that you've been living beyond your means and making adjustments can feel very hard, but don't get down on yourself. Addressing it is a huge accomplishment. Be proud of those first big steps. All right, that's my article. I hope those 3 attitude adjustments are helpful for you as a framework for thinking of your money. I have found them to be incredibly helpful to me. And thanks so much for listening. I really appreciate you. If you found this article helpful, this podcast helpful, I would be so honored if you would share it with a friend who could use this information. It really helps me grow the podcast, which is an incredibly difficult thing to do, and I really appreciate it. Also, If you think the podcast is good, I think your friend will appreciate it too. All right. Thank you all so much for listening. I cannot wait to join you again on the next podcast. See you next week.
Thank you for listening. If you like the show, be sure to subscribe, leave a review. It really helps, and share it with a friend. I'm so grateful. This podcast is for education and entertainment only. Nothing in this episode should be taken as individual tax or financial advice. You can find all the tools, books, and links we reference at sunlighttax.com/podcast.